Hey guys, it's Ram for Life here today, and I'm back with another video. Now, today's video, I want to respond to two commenters in my last video because the last video, the comment section went crazy. This is the most comments I've had on any of my videos. It was like 201 comments. Now, there's a couple of people that commented that weren't these two guys. It was like, I think 6 or 7 comments that wasn't from them, but the rest are completely from them. So almost 200 comments between two guys arguing back and forth. And I felt like it was important to make a response video to it. And I already made another response video to my Goku Black versus Reverse Flash video, talk to somebody else that tried to refute the fact that Goku Black would beat him because of his arguments. So I went into depth to that. So I said, you know what, how about I do this one? And this is not to attack either of the commenters. I do think that both of them are kind of going a little bit too much back and forth. But it's okay, you know. It does help out my engagement in the end of the day. But yeah, they're both going back and forth. One guy is stating that, you know, the One Piece world is not the size of the sun. And the other guy is arguing that it is the size of the sun and even bigger, possibly the size of a solar system. And they've been going back and forth. And I remember when I watched the video and, you know, T.Y. learned to explain saying that, oh, you know, Whitebeard can destroy the Earth. And the planet, and it's not just a planet. The planet is the size of a sun, which I thought it was kind of stupid because I was like, how are you gonna say that? If you want to argue that, you know, the One Piece world is bigger than our world, that's fair. But to that extent, it's ridiculous. And when I explain, you know, the magnitude of the implications of the Earth, of it was compared to the, you know, the sun, or even especially the solar system, it's astronomically insane to think of. But he said that, but he didn't go through his proof on why. Another person said it was big as a sun, and they didn't really go through the steps, but the guy that was explaining the video explained it. But, you know, he explained it, but the other guy had a lot of pushback. Now, the argument he made was, I think it was one of the guy who made the pacifistas, or was made off of him. I forgot what his name was. I think it was Kuma, sorry. I sound stupid. Kuma, because Kuma, since he's kind of an android or a cyborg, he's a pacifista, and what they can do is basically, he can fire energy out of his hand. And the argument between them back and forth is, the first guy is arguing, that's arguing that it's the size of a star, saying, well, he can hit air pressure so fast that it makes it move at the speed of light. And the other guy is saying that, well, yes, the air pressure is stated to move at the speed of light, but the shock wave itself would not be traveling at the speed of light. And that's what hit, you know, Luffy and the rest of the, you know, Straw Hat crew that sent them flying. And this is important because the guy that's arguing that the star level stated that with this attack, it hits and sends the things flying at light speed. And this light speed attack was able to send, you know, Luffy and the rest of the members, it sent them flying at the speed of light for 3 days straight. So at 3 days straight, they were flying at the speed of light. But not only were they flying at the speed of light, but the distance that they traveled wasn't even that far, because Luffy wasn't even that far away from the point of origin, or the island that they're at, which would mean that it would be insanely big. Why would that be the case? Well, apparently, if they're moving at light speed and it takes 3 days, light, you know, in a second can revolve around the planet 7.5 times. So if it's 3 whole days, that would be insane. And his argument is, well, not only did light move that fast, but it was a long time that light was, he was moving them at that speed. But not only that, they only moved at that distance. So if light moving 3 days moves them that only that much, then the planet would have to be ridiculously big. And the other guy's argument is, well, no, the air that he pushes out moves at the light speed, but the shockwave itself would not, because scientifically that is reasonable and true, because we have like quasars that shoot out jets that's just basically jets of superheated air. They move at light, but the shockwaves will never move at light speed. They can move close, like 10% the speed of light at most, but that does not mean that, you know, shockwaves will move at that. So shockwaves scientifically do not move at light speed. So that's his kind of argument to that. The other guy's argument is, well, he's like, you're using appeal to you know, logic, which basically or reasoning is basically saying, well, you're trying to compare, you know, or connect you know, what's the thing called, a reality to a fictional world. And I get that. But here's the thing about that, and this guy also mentioned it, which I think was great. He mentions that, well, that only works if that law the scientific law has been, disproven or discredited by the fictional world it comes from, which it hasn't. Which that is definitely a great argument. A lot of people say, well, this is a fictional world, unless, and I get that argument, but unless the fictional world states that this is not how it works, or that they don't go by the scientific rule, it's best to just go based off of reality. So saying that, well, the energy attack moved at light speed, meaning that the shockwave would also move at that speed. But the argument is, well, like, scientifically, a shockwave could never move at light speed. And be like, well, that's just, but this is fantasy, and this is fiction, and that's reality. That doesn't work. But that fictional world never stated also that that's how it works. So I do agree with him on that. I don't think that that's how it works. Because if it is, then they would have said it in One Piece. But the fact that they just mentioned the air, that doesn't really connect to it. So, yeah. Because shockwaves, no matter what, will always come after whatever the event is. Whether it's the explosion or the amount of energy getting produced, it will come afterwards. Kind of like lightning. Lightning will come first, then the thunder will strike after, which is basically the shockwave and the sound effect from it. Most shockwaves move at travel the speed of sound, so that would be sound travel, which would make sense. Think about it logically. He got hit with the speed of sound, sending him flying for 3 days straight, and that's why he didn't go that far. Also, my argument would have been, which he didn't use, I don't know why, was you're making it sound like he went in one straight line and ended up in one area. It took him 3 days. He could have, when Luffy got hit with it, he could have rotated around the planet for those 3 days straight. So it could have been, let's say, it's the size of the Earth. Light takes 7.5 times to go revolve around. We would just multiply the amount of time it takes from a second to 3 days and just have Luffy revolving around the planet like hundreds of thousands of times around the planet. And then by the third day, or the final second, once we went through the rotation, it met that end of the rotation and he just landed on the island. Because all the other crew members went separate directions, but some of them went even further than the others. So if they got hit with the same level of speed or power, wouldn't they all be, scattered around evenly away? Evenly away from, the point of origin? Why are some further away while others are closer by? Maybe some of them rotated around the planet and then ended up there. Because if they're all moving, like I said, they all came from the same area, maybe just a little bit different directions of the area, got hit with it at the same speed, but they all landed different distance, then there's something wrong with the math there. The math is just not adding up. So the more logical, reasoning would be that they could have probably went around the rotation of the planet at light speed and just ended up there, which wouldn't make the planet that big. But also, there's one big problem with saying the sun is the size. The Earth in One Piece is the size of the sun, or even bigger, the solar system. Now, first, let's just get to the size of the sun. Our sun is considered a small to medium-sized sun, and you can fit literally 1 million Earths into it. So that means the sun is 1 million times bigger than the Earth, and that's an average-sized sun. So you're telling me that One Piece Earth is at the bare minimum 1 million times bigger than our planet. And this guy's going even further, saying possibly solar system level, which I don't even know how much bigger that would be, but the time it takes for light from the sun to come to the Earth alone takes 8 minutes. So the distance between the sun and the entire solar system is insanely big. It would be like billions to trillions of times the size of the Earth. That is too big. Even if you want to say, well, One Piece is fictional and they have some wacky stuff, yeah. But if you tell me that there is that big, because if it was, then that would either mean a couple things. One, the planet is insanely dense, like beyond any material in the world, even beyond, plutonium or uranium. So it would be unbelievably dense, meaning that if they were to lift up anything in that world, they would literally be absurdly more powerful than any other fictional character out there. Not any other fictional character out there, but they'll be insanely powerful. So any feat that they do would be insane. So let's say their speed. Their speed would be infinitely faster, because if they're able to go a certain, go a certain amount of, distance across the planet, that would mean that they would have to equate to, the scale is large up to. If they're able to pick up something, that means they'll be able to be that level. Or destroy something like, say, an island, that would mean that their island level attacks would be even bigger than like a continent, maybe even a planet level or a moon level. That is ridiculous. I don't think that's ever the real case. And there's one big reason why I don't think that the One Piece world is that big and why it doesn't really make any sense, even with their own logic. But besides the sheer ridiculousness of how it sounds and, how big it is, because I feel like a lot of these people that make these statements don't understand the calculations they make. Like, people say, oh, this character can destroy the moon, that means they can destroy the Earth pretty easily too. No. It takes... The amount of power it takes to destroy the moon compared to the Earth is 1,800 times weaker. So if you had a character destroy the moon, they would have to be 1,800 times stronger just to destroy the Earth alone. And to destroy from the Earth to the sun, it will take millions of times stronger to do that. So people need to understand these scalings. They are just saying, well, moon to planet, planet to star. It's not that simple. The calculations from those are astronomically bigger. It's not simple. It's unfathomable to the point where you sound ridiculous if you say that and think that you make sense. So there's that. But there's two problems I have with this. One is, if that's the case, then how the hell do the ships in One Piece be able to travel across majority of the planet at all? Like, come on, let's be honest. How are they able to go there? How did Goldie Roger be able to find the One Piece and journey throughout the entire world of One Piece if the planet at bare minimum is either star level to solar system level, and he's riding on a ship? Unless you're making some even more ridiculous claim, because let's just think about this logically. They're going on a ship. How fast is the ship moving? At most, it might be moving a couple, hundreds of miles, maybe a couple, thousands of miles. You're telling me a ship, and that's ridiculous for a ship to go, especially just a wooden ship. You're telling me a wooden ship that moves hundreds of miles per hour to at most 1,000 is able to travel across the majority of a planet that's the size of a sun or a solar system with that short amount of time? I mean, we had the Going Merry, when they got to the Grand Line, they basically went almost like a quarter or halfway through the planet itself. So you're telling me within like a year, because the Going Merry at that time took like a year or two, you're telling me within a year or two the ship was able to go a quarter to halfway across a planet the size of a sun or a solar system? This is literally trillions. This is like billions to trillions of miles long. You're telling me the ship was able to go billions to trillions of miles in a year or so on a fucking ship? No way. And these ships could only go 100 miles per hour. There's nothing suggesting these ships go any faster than that. There's nothing suggesting these ships go at the speed of light. Even if you had the ships going at the speed of light, or the ships would have to go insanely fast, because for rockets, it takes months to journey throughout the solar system, and these rockets go at tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, the speed of sound, or not speed of sound, hundreds of thousands of miles per hour, and dozens of times the speed of sound. These rocket ships move that fast, and even then it takes months. If you were to go from just the Earth to Mars itself, the distance across to there is literally like I think 2-month long trip. I could be wrong, but it's like a 2-month long trip. But these guys are going on boats. Unless you're telling me that these boats are either close to the speed of light or move at the speed of light, I do not believe it. And let's be honest, the Going Merry, none of these ships have shown to go at that speed. They're not going at the speed of light. Come on. Let's be reasonable here, guys. Come on. Let's just be honest. Because if that was the case, then that would mean that if we amplify the planet, then that means all their stats will be amplified. Their speed will be amplified insanely more. Their strength, their durability, because whatever they can do or handle or destroy or whatever will be that scaled up to a star, comparing the sun to a star, planet to a size of a sun. So that's why I don't really believe that it is, that big. Even with that argument of that Kuma slap thingy, that's why I think there's kind of holes in there. But yeah, that's my biggest argument and refutal to that thing, because by that logic, none of these ships should be able to go that far. Because, like I said, a ship in most, I could actually even search it up. I'll search up even a cruise ship, how fast a cruise ship is moving. So I just looked it up right now, and ships don't even go 100 miles per hour. A cruise ship at like the top speed will go 34.5 miles per hour. A cruise ship. They're using wooden ships. These are ships that have electric propellers. They're engined and powered. They're going on like boats that use sail wind to push it. This would be a lot faster than those, and this moves barely even 35 miles per hour. So you're telling me these ships that go 35 miles per hour is able to go travel that much distance, but the planet is that ridiculously big? How? How, Sway? How? Like I said, either these ships, either it's inconsistent because a ship can only go at 35 miles per hour. It would not be able to go that great distance. It would take billions upon billions of years for a boat to go that distance, or even remotely anywhere near that distance, if we're saying that's logical. So there's either it's inconsistent, or their ships are moving at the speed of light, or close to that. And let's be honest, these wooden ships are using sail winds. Now are you arguing also that the sail winds are moving at millions of miles per hour, or millions to billions of miles per hour? There's no way. Come on, guys. Let's just be logical here. Would that make any sense that these sail ships, because they use wind to push it, they can only move as much as the wind can push on the helm of the ship? That's not enough wind power to push that. There'll be insane hurricanes everywhere. It's just illogical. It's just dumb. I'm sorry. This argument is dumb, and I disagree with the guy. I respect him as a viewer of mine and a subscriber, but I disagree with this argument. This is just to an asinine. And when you think about it a little bit logically, you're like, wait, then how the fuck are the ships going that far? Unless you're saying they're going at light speed. But then if they're going at light speed, wouldn't the winds be needed to be pushing them at this insane levels of speed too and moving this fast? That also doesn't make any sense. So you can't even use the argument that, well, it's a fictional world. It still has some rules. It cannot just be completely asinine. Then it's going to be a gag manga or whatever. So there's that. That's why I don't believe it's that. People dog on how, Dragon Ball Super has, terrible power scaling and is inconsistent, which I agree and I've stated multiple times. But One Piece is just as bad. But the difference is Oda, his main focus is on storytelling, world building. I explained this before. There are two types of writers. There's writers that want to, when it comes to superpowered characters, there's those that want to make them insanely powerful and show them as a symbol and just some cool stuff. And then there's story-driven and narrative-ridden writers, which they might have these powerful characters, but their main focus is the story, the journey, the world building. That's their main focus, and that's how I feel like Oda, he's mainly focusing on that. I highly doubt he's focusing on his power scaling. I highly doubt he's saying, well, Kuma can slap wind that moves at the speed of light, and he slapped him, he made him move at the speed of light, and he was only able to go this distance, meaning that this planet is the size of the sun. Unless he comes out and says, yeah, the One Piece planet is the size of the sun, at this point it's just headcanon. These are all headcanons and overestimations, and when you think about logically by the rules that apply to their world, it doesn't make sense either. It's just nonsensical, if I'm being honest in that regard. So just look at Oda. Do you think that he's a power scaling type of writer, that he would write them that ridiculously powerful? I highly doubt it. Another thing is, Oda mentioned Kizaru. I talked to him about before. He mentioned that Kizaru is the fastest character in One Piece universe, and he moves at light speed. So, yeah. It could be since that was an old time, he could be now he is, the characters are fast in that, but still, from what has been heard, Kizaru is the fastest character in One Piece, and he moves at light speed. So I also don't think none of the other One Piece characters, I'm not trying to hate on them or downplay them, but the writer himself said he is the fastest and he moves at light speed. So you can use all your calculations, but you can't refute Oda's writing if that's the case. So these characters are not moving at speed. But yeah, the logic behind it is just asinine itself. Also, the way I looked at One Piece is I looked at their fighting and power scaling as nonsensical. I don't think that's the importance. That's why I mentioned that Oda doesn't do that. He's story driven, and he doesn't care about the consistency. So I'm gonna just chalk it up to these stuff as being inconsistent writing in the feats or the statements or what's been shown by Oda. Because he's not focusing on that, and sometimes I can slip their mind, and this happens all the time with writers. So because if you watch One Piece, even the biggest One Piece fans, can you honestly and honestly tell me that the power scaling in One Piece is consistent and realistic? Because I don't think so. I've watched One Piece. I'm not as in depth as other people, and I haven't watched it in a bit. I stopped, I think, like halfway through the whole Cake Island where Luffy and the crew went to fight Big Mama. But even then, I still watch quite a bit, and I know quite a bit about One Piece, and I've seen the fights, and the fights are not very consistent. Most of these characters can beat other characters. They don't really go by consistency. It's all just for fun and entertainment. It's not to be like, oh, who would win in this fight against this guy? Nah. So yeah, I don't think it's star level or star system level because like I said, how the hell would their ships be able to go that far? How would they be able to go that far? Also, if Luffy can move at the speed of light, why would he need a ship? Why can't he just run on water? Yes, I know water will affect him, but we know that if he puts something on his, it's only when he directly is contacted to water. If his feet touch the water, like if he has shoes on, he can run on water and he should be able to do it. And if you move at light speed, you should be able to run on water pretty casually, or at least any of the other characters that don't have, the devil fruits that can move that fast, like Sanji. Why doesn't he just fucking run on water and find the One Piece there? Because that would be way faster than going on a ship. But yeah, I think the ships was what really contradicts it, and when you think about it more logically, it doesn't really make much sense. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.